I'm going to share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Mukhang mga, good morning. Good morning and good evening. Inilagay ko pa rin dito ang ating moderator na si Dr. Ferdinand Blancaflor. Kasi just in case baka dumating siya tapos hindi niya makita ang pangalan niya. So sabi ko, mabuti na yung nandyan ang pangalan tapos wala siya, kaysa nandyan siya tapos wala yung pangalan, di ba? So I played it safe. Anyway, so the title of our lecture, webinar, what you might call it tonight, is Reframing Traditional Face-to-Face to Virtual Remote Teaching Synchronously. Medyo maano pa yung term eh. Virtual, kung akong tatanungin mo, gusto ko talaga remote. I would hope that remote will take off as a term for this new format, but virtual is also taking off, and also technology assisted training is also coming out. So as you can see, ito medyo nilagyan ko ng mga information ng aking ano ba to, bio. So as you can see here, inilagay ko na yung aking Facebook. Kung gusto niyo akong hanapin sa Facebook, maybe I'll put my Facebook mamaya dyan sa chat. I keep on forgetting to do that. And then I have this small consultancy company that I just started. The company itself has been there for a long time, but I have not actively started it until ito ang nagkaroon ng COVID. So nabuhay bigla ang online. So sabi ko, okay, I guess it's time for this company to really get into real action. So the name of the company is formasuma.org. And if you don't recognize those words, those came from formative assessment and summative assessment. And the website of that company is formasuma.org. So a lot of my background, especially my dissertation, I did a lot of assessment, and I'm very particular about, you know, assessments and evaluations. So when I was looking for a name, and I just want something that is different, and then it clicked. And then people think that it's Greek. Forma summa or summa is Greek, but it's actually it came from two words, formative assessment and summative assessment. Okay, so that's my little intro. Hindi tayo nag-intro pala, Maria, ngayon.
I would like to add one thing.
Yes? Oh, dapat pala nilagay yung kaisipan. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so yeah.
Pag-break natin, ilalagay ko. I did this page, believe it or not, last after I finished everything. Yeah. So whatever I can remember. Okay.
I would also like to add that Dr. Lilia Juele she won the Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Professional Service for the year 2018 to 2019. Yeah. I think she forgets that. Bago kasi yung award.
Pagka hindi talagang bio na hinihingi, hindi ko na binabanggit. At saka syempre, it's nice if someone else would say that, right?
Okay, I said it.
Okay.
And thank you for agreeing to be VP of Kaisipan.
Thank you, my pleasure. You know, I have been doing advocacy since 1989. I was president of the Association of Filipino Teachers of America in 1989. And we have started Balikturo actually the organization started in 87, it was incorporated in 1989. And ever since I've been doing advocacy. And then I stopped doing that and focused on my work, did my PhD. And then I decided I stopped. I'm not very active with the Association of Filipino Teachers as well. Marami nang magagaling doon. You know, they don't really, you know, the place is too small. But anyway, so what I'm saying is that Kaisipan is really where I do most, if not all of my volunteer work. So I'm just saying to my friends, yung mga iniimbita ko, mag-attend na kayo kasi pag hindi sa Kaisipan, may bayad na yun. Right, Maria?
Right.
So like when I do this at Heroes, you have to get charged. So I think you really have to mention that, Maria, that Kaisipan really is doing a lot in terms of making these presentations available for free.
Right, yeah.
Right. Anyway, so what are we going to cover tonight? So let's talk about perspective. We're going to talk about virtual teaching. Did it work? COVID-19 happened. We're going to dig deeper. I will talk a little bit about online learning because that's something to do with virtual learning. We're going to get down to basics. Some of the things, if you attended my workshop, which I believe you did, all of you did, I will discuss some of what I've discussed here because it has something to do with virtual learning. We're going to talk about challenges of virtual teaching, virtual learning, and how do we go from here to there. We're going to talk a lot about tips, techniques, software, applications, and then we'll try to get as many best practices as much as possible. And then I'm saying it takes a village. Everyone has to work together. Teachers, parents, students, admin, everyone who can make this landscape really get to a place that it will be able to serve the students the best that we can serve them. Because of COVID, no, it is really emergency teaching and learning format. Parang itinulak tayo eh, biglang-bigla, okay, eto na, magtuturo na tayo. So very, very challenging talaga. I can imagine what's going on in the Philippines because here in the US, this started in March. So when we left school in March, we thought we will only go for a weekend and we're coming back on Monday, and then all of a sudden we're not going back anymore. And then we had a lot of work since March. So I can imagine what's going on in different countries like the Philippines. How are they getting ready and how are they preparing for this new normal? So what I'm going to do is we're going to do an icebreaker. Okay, we're going to try an icebreaker tonight because, you know, I keep on saying that there has to be a lot of activity, interactivity, but because there's just so much material to cover, sometimes I forget to do interactive activities. So for now, let's do one, okay? So I want us to go to, sorry. Nakikita niyo pa rin, ano? Kasi I want to see the chat. So, okay, let's see how this would work. Because of the technology, instead of us using, for example, a learning management system or other technologies, we will mostly depend on the chat, just so we don't get disconnected, being that I'm in New York and you guys are in the Philippines. And I have some bad experiences when I use some other technology, and then I just got so bad, it was lagging, and then eventually I lost some students, and it was very difficult for them to come back. Although, of course, very few are attending, so it's not really much of a problem. But when I did one activity one time, and I think I had more than 300 students attending, and some of them were not able to get back anymore. Anyway, so this is what we are going to do. Let's read this together first. This is our icebreaker, warm-up activity. So here are the instructions. So please write down your greatest hope. For example, for the session, for the current year, or for a specific project, and then your greatest fear. You can write any hope that you want, but maybe if we can narrow it down about what we're talking about tonight, which is virtual learning and virtual teaching, or even just teaching as a whole, maybe we would be more focused in talking about it. So write down in the chat your greatest hope. What might be your greatest hope? For example, sa nangyayari sa Pilipinas ngayon, especially in education, or itong haharapin natin sa 2020. What do you hope to happen? I really want to know. So maybe for the session, what are you hoping for the session? I think some of you already answered that dun sa polling na ginawa ni Tony. So then maybe we can go into the next for the current year, or for a specific project, or for, I actually want to learn more of what is your hopes and dreams for, you know, to have a better life and a better, you know, future for education in the Philippines, considering the COVID that's going on. We don't really know what's going on yet. I would really want to know what you're thinking. What do you think would be a great thing that can happen in your point of view? And then we're going to read all the hopes first, and then the fears, and then discuss. So you're going to do two things. First would be your hope, and then your fear. Pero pareho mong ipopost, ha? I-type mo lang hope, and then you can put whatever is your hope for this year. And then what are your fears? And then we will discuss, okay? Before we start. This is an icebreaker activity. So in a way, I'm doing what I'm preaching, that we have to have a lot of interaction, collaboration in a virtual online environment. So let's see. So let's go to the chat, and we can, hold on, let me pull that up there. So can you guys go into the chat, and you can start. You can start now. Let's time it, maybe 10 minutes. Maria, can you time it, 10 minutes?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so let's get started. Let's go to the chat. Let's put our hopes first, and then put our fears.
Yeah, I'm seeing some.
Okay, let's get going, and then we'll talk about it. Mm.
The chat was disabled.
No. Naka-disable ang chat?
No.
The chat was disabled.
Yeah, my entry disappeared. It just said disabled midway.
Your
Mine
chat
too.
disappeared?
No, I mean,
Mine
I was
too.
typing it and then the chat was suddenly disabled.
Yeah.
I didn't do
Yeah, mine
anything.
too.
You too? Can you try again now?
Not yet.
It doesn't allow us to type on the chat.
Yeah.
Why?
Ooh, that's
It's disabled. It's disabled now.
Disabled also? Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Tony will
wait.
check what's going on.
Okay. Yeah.
Sayang.
Ngayon, please
There.
try. There it
Yeah,
is.
there.
Oh,
It's back. It's back.
what happened? Okay. Okay. Sorry for the technical glitch.
That's
No
normal. That's okay.
Normal, the new normal.
Normal.
The new normal.
That it always happens when you're doing these kinds of things. I'm getting used to it. That's why, as much as I can, I limit going back and forth from one, from one screen to another. Nagta-time ka, Maria?
Yeah, I have my timer on. My phone timer.
Yeah, I have mine too.
Sabi ni Nicolas, hope we will still be included in some series of this webinar. Of course. That's what Kaisipan is for. There you go. We have started with Nicolas. Very nice. I see some good postings here. Can we give them the mic, Tony, para they can
Opo.
read their posting?
Yeah, they can actually unmute.
Para mas maganda interaction. And then we can react, Maria and Tony, we can comment.
Sure. 4 minutes to go. Ooh, that's a big fear I see.
Pangalawa na. We really have a good class.
Oh, our Mozambique person is here, si Rodessa.
Si Erwin, andito na rin, from PNG. Si Dubai na nag-register yung hindi ko pa nakita.
Maria, do you want to moderate this?
Sure.
Para hindi puro boses ko ang naririnig.
Ikaw na munang mag-moderate, then I'll do the next one.
Okay, I'll start. Pwede na? Umpisahan na?
Pwede na.
Okay. So, umpisahan natin kay... sandali.
And I'll also suggest some other people to moderate. They did well, very well yesterday also.
Very good, very good. Okay,
Yeah.
sino ang una?
Nicolas Raymaro.
Last, no?
Yeah.
From Nicolas Raymaro, UA, to everyone. Can we give the mic to Nicolas para basahin niya and then kung gusto pa niyan dagdagan to?
Yeah, go ahead. You can just unmute yourself.
Nicolas?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, may yung ko pa is yung hope ko is students will have all-time access to internet to be used in their online classes, and my fear is that internet connection will be slower due to volume of users for online classes.
Yeah, that's a great hope, no? Kasi pagka walang connectivity, kahit na anong galing minsan ng teacher, at saka pag very slow ang connectivity. Like, I use Prezi when I make presentations in the United States. I'm a big Prezi user. I can't use it in the Philippines. So I'm back to basics, which I'm using PowerPoint. As basic as PowerPoint is, it's very powerful. Pero napakadami pa sanang technology na pwedeng gamitin para maging, you are at par with worldwide standards. Pero more than anything, yung mga bata, hindi ba parang narinig ko, sabi ni President Duterte, magkakaroon ng connectivity sa lahat ng schools. Is that true?
It's always the plan, ma'am. Lilia, with the ICT even last decade ago. The problem is not all private sector can actually penetrate the rural areas because of the economic concern.
Yung private sector. Pero I was thinking maybe yung government nga kung i-underwrite nila kasi ang mga public school ayun ang malaking problema. So,
Actually, ma'am, for the meantime, ongoing pa rin yung construction ng towers. Nag-start pa lang sila mag-construct ng mga cell sites. So, I doubt kung kaya nitong tapusin. Nag-start na kasi yung klase this August. So, I don't know kung ano yung action ng government.
So in the meanwhile, ang mangyayari, flex learning, yung correspondence. Ang tawag sa correspondence ngayon, flex learning. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's keep on hoping on that one. Tapos, ano yung fear mo, Nicolas?
Yung internet connection is will be slower due to volume of users kasi hindi lang naman students yung gagamit ng internet. In the same time, yung mga teachers din for instruction.
Oo, lalo ngayon, halos lahat na talaga. At saka, ano na ba talaga? Kasi hindi ko masyadong naririnig talaga kung ano yung latest. So, kailan ang first day of school? August 15?
Sa college, ma'am, wala pang mandate yung said kung kailan mag-start. Basta as long daw as ready for online learning or flexi learning, they can start the sooner the better. Pero sa
high school elementary.
August 24 daw po, ma'am, yung sa kanila sa may DepEd.
Tapos, remote or flex or both?
Hindi lang ako familiar sa may high school, ma'am, kasi more ako sa college.
Oh my goodness. Anyone here who teaches elementary school, you can take the mic and share.
Dr. Juele, if I
What
may.
really is happening sa elementary and high school?
Hello, Dr. Juele, if I may. May I?
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. In DepEd, we will start classes on August 24, and as time they are starting to craft modules for every week. So that would be the learning modality as of now, modular based.
Modular based, pero ano ang format, ano ang delivery?
Printed modules. So that would be sent on every barangay community. Or just like what Ma'am Cleophas said a while ago, the parents will come into school to obtain those materials. So it would depend on the provisions of the school or the provisions of the barangay community. But as of the moment, the DepEd is starting to finalize some modules that would be distributed.
Oh my God, napakahirap. Oh my goodness.
That's true, ma'am, because I'm one of the evaluators in our division, and as of now, there are only 4 among my 9 evaluating modules that I could recommend printed. Some are still under revisions.
So puro yan ipiprint tapos pipick upin ng mga parents.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Or the teacher would deliver the module.
So wala talagang provision para sa internet at all, totally.
For the internet, that would be the concern of the DICT or Department of Information and Communications Technology. But just like what Sir Nicolas have said, so this is just a moment, or it's only just a beginning for the towers to be built. And as far as I'm concerned, they just have some priority, places of priorities. So it is not simultaneously that the towers will be built, but one by one.
Kaya Maria, yung boxes na ginagawa natin, napakaganda siguro niyan pagka naayos.
That's what I was thinking. That's why I call it last kilometer.
Maybe you can show it later sometime kasi hindi kasama sa presentation ko. May time.
We'll do a special seminar on the use of it.
But can we just show a picture para may idea sila, magka-ideas? Okay? Somewhere during my presentation.
Okay.
Thank you. Who was the last one na nag-respond?
Si David.
Hi, David. Thank you very much, David and Nicholas. So let's see na itong ating mga hope and fears. Maybe next year mag-uusap tayo ulit and hopefully merong magandang nangyari. Oh, Maria, you want to take the next one?
Ano tong next one is COVID?
From Nicholas, okay na si Nicholas, nag-discuss na kami. So maybe you can take...
Yeah, the next one is Wena.
Hindi, Nicholas Raymaro, he read Hope students will have all-time access. Yeah, Manago, Jocelyn Manago. Right, Tony?
From my chat box, it's Wena. It's about COVID. And then followed by...
Kasi ang binasa ko yung kay Nicholas Raymaro na Hope students will have all-time access. Yung, although siya kanina, yun ang pinag-usapan namin. Fear internet connection. So ang kasunod nun is yung Jocelyn G. Manago. Ay, sorry. Private pala yun. Kaya nyo hindi nakikita.
Hindi nakikita ko si Wena.
No, bakit? Jocelyn? Sagot ka, Jocelyn. Private ito baka ayaw niya basahin ko. Okay, sige na, si Wena na. Sige, Maria, Wena na.
Wena, can you,
Hello.
Can you read? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
So go ahead and share with us your hope.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, my greatest hope and ardent prayer is for the rest of 2020 is for the COVID-19 to end, because all that we are discussing right now is rooted from this pandemic. And my fear is for some students, especially in the marginalized areas in the Philippines, to be not able to get the education they deserve. Since we know for a fact that even in the normal conditions that we have, there is problem with internet connectivity, how much more in this kind of situation that we are in right now. So that's actually my greatest fear, that some students would really be left behind, especially those students whose parents do not have the capacity to actually support them in their academic endeavors. So that would be all. Thank you.
See, Rachel Lapidario has the same hope and fear. Rachel, can you chime in?
Sandali.
Rachel?
After ni Maniago, ang nakikita ko is si Jody.
Oh yeah, I was just jumping to the same theme. Do you want to go one by one, Lilia?
No, I don't know. I'm just worried na baka lampasan. Did you intentionally skip Jody?
No, I just jumped to the same theme yung kay Rachel because he was also talking about
okay,
COVID.
Go ahead. I'm gonna leave it. Go ahead. It's your turn.
Sige.
Sorry.
Rachel, are you there? So anyway, I think we all fear COVID even here in the US. It's really difficult to, even for the scientists to fully understand what's happening. But at least we remain hopeful, all of us. Ang problema nga lang, it's forcing us to do a lot of things fast track talaga. So including forcing the schools to go online in the Philippines. It's also happening here in the US. So what else can I say in terms of this pandemic? Oh yeah, see Maria Teresa Hamias, that the pandemic be used as a further excuse for curtailing the rights of students and other citizens. So this COVID thing has many sort of unintended consequences. So those are some things that we need to be mindful about. However, this pandemic is not going to go away anytime soon, I don't think. Anyone else want to add and say something about the pandemic? Suri, I think you're also linking the current situation. Are
Yeah.
you there, Suri?
Okay.
Can you link your fear to the COVID fear? Suri.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so if you notice, my hope is that more competent people, more righteous people are placed in positions of government and influence, because I work now with LGUs, local government units, and I've been asked to do a training program to help the barangay officials and other staff, as well as community leaders of the barangays, to help them cope with the current situation, and hearing from them their difficulties on the ground, how confused they are, the lack of leadership from the people at the top, confusion coming from directives that differ from day to day. So that's why my hope is that they get their act together up there, so that people on the ground can do their work better. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
So going back up after when si Cleofe. Cleofe?
Good morning po sa lahat. Ang greatest hope ko po ay itong forced shift natin sa paggamit ng online learning maging positive po para sa education ng Pilipinas. Kasi nakikita ko po na bago po yung pandemic, ang mga discussions po dito sa news, lalo na araw-araw yung traffic, air pollution, yung pera ng mga pamilya, konti lang. So, kung magagamit po natin yung ito, we will be, if we are able to use effectively this online education, etong mga na po ito, itong problema sa traffic, air pollution, konti yung pera ng mga pamilya, medyo po ito, mababawasan po talaga. So, yun po ang nakikita kong hope sa paggamit ng online learning. Ang pinaka-fear ko po naman, dahil po sa dami po ng mga structural problems on putting up of telecommunications, lalo na itong gusto ng gobyerno mangyari na, although napakaganda pong imaginein or lasap-lasapin sa isip na magkakaroon po ng connectivity from the tip of Luzon to the southernmost part. Napakaganda pong namnamin at the moment, pero ang napifeel ko po kasi sobra pong difficult ng bago po marating yun. Yun po.
Maria, if I may add.
Sure, yeah.
Actually, the DICT has its national broadband plan. So, pero 5 years yung rollout plan noon, but immediately we can make use of the NGCP. Ito yung malaking kable ng kuryente that will traverse from Luzon to Mindanao. Kaya medyo confident sila when they saying na we can actually implement that internet connection. Ang hinahantay kasi sa baba, yung last mile na tinatawag, yung makakarating sa school, makakarating sa bahay, hindi kasi yun gagawin ng government dahil magre-reklamo yung private sector. At we are waiting for the private sector to do that. So, yun, yung mga malalaking Smart, PLDT, Globe, Converge, yung mga naririnig nyo sa Manila. Pero sa rural centers, meron kayong mga cable operators. And actually, yung cable TV nyo has fiber optic na pwedeng patungan ng internet over it. Pero may maliit pa lang or may mga ilan pa lang small, ang tawag sa kanila ay VAS companies, o ito yung magpo-provide nun, or mga micro-telcos na makaka-provide nun. Yun lang. So, yung sa technical part.
Ngayon, Tony, pero ang higher ed, may connectivity sila, yung mga colleges?
Normally, yung mga SUCs kasi nasa urban-rural, kaya mas malaki yung chance na may connectivity sila. Dati, nung nakakasingil pa yung SUCs, nakakabigay sila ng connectivity, nakaka-charge sila sa estudyante. Pero nung nag-announce kasi si President Duterte ng free education at hindi na sila pwedeng maningil, yun yung isa naging problema. Dahil, yun.
Okay, so that's a very good discussion in terms of hopes and fears. So thank you very much. I see a lot of others, but we're going to move forward. But I thank all of you who posted. I will read all of these and really respond so that when I design my future presentation, I will be able to respond to, you know, how you guys see what you really want to happen. And let's hope that itong mga hopes and dreams natin na to, medyo mangyari. Is itong COVID, you know, kahit na walang COVID, yung remote virtual learning, hindi na siya mawawala. As a matter of fact, dito sa Amerika, talagang naka-in place na ang virtual. And ang hope talaga is, ang Pilipinas, sana maka-adapt, yung makahabol tayo. So ever since ang problema, you know, I have been trying to bring online learning in the Philippines for like 10 years now, and the market and the audience is just not ready for it. And I was thinking that because of COVID that it would be ready, but it appears from our discussion now, it's still not, because if connectivity is only in higher ed and there is no connectivity for high school and elementary, that's really going to be a very big problem. So hopefully maybe there will be some improvement. Let's just pray and, you know, do the best we can. Let's get ready, and on our own as teachers, just build our own competency so that when the time comes that the technology will be available, we're ready to do that. So by that, I'm going to conclude this icebreaker, and I'm going back to doing my presentation, okay? So let's see that. What's going on? Dami nang nasa screen ko, no? Nakikita ninyo. So I stopped in what's covered, and so some of this discussion we already covered, pero I'm going to cover it again for the sake of discussion. So there is an article that was written, that was published in Wall Street, dated June 6, 2020, that says virtual learning is not successful. It didn't work, it says. It said that the article was saying that it was not good. You know, when you read a newspaper article and you just read the title, you would not know exactly until you go deeper, right? So, tingnan natin talaga kung ano talagang nangyari. Let's see. So, itong COVID ng pandemic ang nangyari. So now we are wearing masks, social distancing, wash our hands, lockdown, schools are closed, face-to-face classes moved online. And then, ang nangyari yata sa Pilipinas, nagbakasyon ng mga bata. And then, one of the things that I still am not getting is yung pag-change ng umpisa ng klase from June na naging August, maybe because na hindi nga ready ang mga eskwelahan. So I'm really wondering what's going to happen, like if it's August, so papasok sila during the summer next year, and I'm just really wondering what's going to happen next year in the heat of the summer na ang mga estudyante, can you imagine, in the months of March, April, May, nasa eskwelahan ng mga bata. You know, those are things that I'm thinking about na at the back of my mind. So, ang nangyari, emergency virtual remote teaching tayo. Ito yung new normal. Walang prep, right? And ito talaga ang nangyari. Let's dig deeper from that Wall Street article. That Wall Street article basically said a lot of things, and it appears it's not really that virtual remote is the one that's failure. And based on what we have discussed, you would see that there are a lot of other reasons, but the actual, when I say the actual, for example, I do virtual learning, I do virtual teaching. Does that mean what I'm doing is not effective, right? Or teachers are teaching using virtual format, does that mean it's not effective? And you know, these are the reasons, these are the issues presented in that Wall Street article. It says there's no time at all for planning or training using technology, even in the States. And this article applies not only in the States, but worldwide, right? So lahat sa atin, kasi lahat naman tayo nagulat sa COVID na to. So no time at all for planning and training using technology. I wonder, and you wonder, all of us here, what is the type of training? What kind of training was given? Students have no computers and internet. Nung nag-conduct ako ng training for alternative learning system teachers, 65% of them don't have computers. So, ang nangyari, in-adjust ko yung aking presentation kasi yung presentation ko, they were supposed to be using computers, and then I found out that they're using mobile technology. Teachers have no experience with remote learning. So teachers who are going to teach remote learning, they have no experience. Honestly, even our teachers now going into September, a lot of them still don't know what to do, because as much training we're giving to our schools, and this is in the United States, just imagine, it's still not enough. We have a lot of older teachers who are not much into technology anymore, and they really don't know what to do. So lots of students simply didn't show up online for various reasons. I've read an article, also saw something online about the reasons why students in the Philippines don't log in. Karamihan sila sa kanila, walang pera, maghahanap pa sila ng pera pambili ng load. You know, it was heartbreaking, yung mga nakita ko based on my research. Increasing the risk of students having big gaps in learning because of what's going on, the risk of students having big gaps in learning. What does this mean? Ibig sabihin, in the future, yung mga estudyante natin na papasok, for example, sa next grade, handicap yan kasi hindi na nga nila na-achieve yung mga supposed to be na dapat mapag-aralan nila. Many students struggling and falling behind. Students are 30% short of learning in reading. I can imagine this might be higher in the Philippines. Students are 50% short in math, maybe again, also in the Philippines, maybe that's higher. And parents are frustrated with supervising their children with home learning. And being that, I'm not saying that, being that we're going back to flex learning, and when flex learning, we're using correspondence. You know, in the language of online learning and with the progress that we had, considering from correspondence to online learning, it is really heartbreaking that now we're going back to correspondence. Remember, those of you who may be older, like around my age, or around, you know, maybe even those who are like maybe 10 years, 15 years younger than me, and those of you na mga bata, nung una, just for your information, the only distance learning available noon is correspondence. And walang value, walang credibility, walang integrity yung correspondence, right? It was very good for people, for example, if they're working in the ships, they're working yung mga nasa barko, o yung talagang totally walang access. ginagawa nila yon. Pero it is really so low-level teaching and learning because there is no interaction, there is no way of evaluating who's doing the work, and so on and so forth. And then it is just heartbreaking that now we are caught with this COVID and we're going back to correspondence. So something needs to get done. I don't know, something needs to get done, guys, and maybe you go keep on doing your research, keep on submitting proposals. Hopefully something will happen. So how did the shift to remote learning affect students used to face-to-face learning? So tingnan natin yan yung mga bata na sanay sa face-to-face learning. Some home environment does not allow work or study from home. Yung mga malilitang bahay, right? And I'm even talking about remote learning, meaning computers. Malaking problema nito. Eh, paano? Ibig sabihin, kung correspondence, maybe okay pa. Pero kung yung talagang virtual remote, malaking problema even in the States. Some home environment does not allow work or study from home. Students who are used to online work still depend on face-to-face lectures. Students miss the social aspect. Students struggling in person struggle more online. Students already struggle in person who struggle more online. And lack of reliable internet connection is also happening in the United States, believe it or not. Sorry. Lack of routine to follow kasi paiba-iba na, wala pang pedagogy, bago lang itong virtual. Overwhelming workload, yung homework, exam preparation, kasi nga bago, and the way even teachers are not sure of what they're doing, everyone experimenting. So there's so much confusion with course requirement. So maglalag talaga yan. So guys, if hopefully your hope happens and magkaroon ng connectivity, or those of you who are teaching in college, understand that there's still a lot of problems even if you have connectivity. Students aren't showing up for virtual classes. Why? They have no access. As I mentioned earlier, some of them are essential workers. They have no choice. These are more United States reason. Maybe, I'm not sure in the Philippines kung anong kung meron ba tayong mga essential workers doon, yung mga taong kailangan lumabas, yung mga nurses, yung mga nagtatrabaho sa mga tindahan, mga ospital, hindi pwedeng hindi pumasok yan ang mga essential worker. Walang grade incentive kasi mas mahirap na, tapos pareho rin ang grade. So yung mga ibang bata nag-give up. Some kids are taking care of their younger siblings, no bedroom work area. Some students are not connecting with other people. So how did the shift to remote learning affect students used to face-to-face? Some home environment does not allow work or study from home. Anyway, I think this is more of a repeat. I'm gonna skip this one. So this is more of a rhetorical question here on my part. So did virtual learning fail? Yung virtual learning as a format, hindi nag-fail. Ang nag-fail is, katulad nga ng pinag-usapan natin, yung mga components na nagpo-push for virtual learning. So sa Pilipinas, napakalaki talaga ng problema kasi walang connectivity. So yan ang pag hindi yan na-solve, mukhang babalik tayo sa correspondence, and I'm not sure really how we're going to tackle that. And two things that need to happen. One is either matapos na ang virtual, ang COVID para makabalik na tayo, or talagang apurahin nila yung connectivity na yan. Pag hindi nagawa yan, talagang kawawa ang mga estudyante natin. So, okay. But first, let's agree on what virtual teaching and learning really mean, right? Very loose, tinatawag natin ang virtual teaching, virtual remote. Let's talk about that. Well, most of you who have been in my session on Monday, I already discussed this with you. So I think one or two who came tonight, please review the material, because I'm not going to really talk about it much. So I can cover most of the materials that were not covered in my my Monday session. So here I'm just showing you the two basic communication methods, synchronous and asynchronous. So synchronous means live, it happens at the same time. Asynchronous is not live. So yung correspondence is asynchronous, which is a real old, antiquated asynchronous. Ang dami ng I don't want to use the word criticism. Online learning, it's still considered as not as far as face-to-face learning. And then, online na yun, ang dami-dami ng technology. Ang mga face-to-face teachers, universities, and employers still don't have exactly the same respect towards online learning. Paano na lang kung correspondence? Paano na lang tayo magko-compete? Right? So here is an example of synchronous learning, live webinars, instant messaging, video conferencing, virtual classrooms. Wala na nga. Ito yung asynchronous, right? Email, blogs, pre-recorded, online discussion boards, learning management system. So yung mga, kung I wonder kung, can you put on the chat board pag nagkaroon ng chance? Anytime, can you put there if you have used a learning management system, or if you already are familiar with the learning management system, just so I know that's part of the research that I'm trying to do. And can you imagine here, wala dito ang wala dito ang correspondence, wala dito ang flex, because really it's not in that landscape anymore. But the reality in the Philippines is it still is. So let's examine and understand further these teaching delivery methods. This is also a review for those who attended my Monday workshop. So here is the face-to-face traditional classroom. Some of them are web enhanced, synchronous, they're in real time, meet in a classroom or a physical space. Technology is not required, even if some teachers, like I use web enhanced, even if it's a live classroom class. But you don't have to use technology, and there is no approval of content. So a teacher goes to their class and bring their textbook and they teach. And then you have the hybrid blended format, which is a combination of face-to-face and online. So some meetings are live and some meetings are not live. Some are in the classroom and some are online. It's a combination of face-to-face. Technology not required for the face-to-face, but it's required for online. Content approval is not required as well. And online learning, ito parati ko itong ine-emphasize because I want people to really understand what online distance learning is. Ano ang pagkakaiba ng online distance learning sa remote virtual, right? So asynchronous, all meetings are not live. You go online, the teacher, you put your content and your students go in there at another time. You meet online in a learning management system. Technology is required. You can't do online learning without technology. And content, instructional design approval is required. Ito, napakalaking bagay nito. Dito sa Amerika, talagang hindi ka makakapagturo rito ng online kung hindi ka fully trained at saka kung hindi ka nakapag-develop ng course na na-approve ng department mo. At least sa my school. In my school, it's like that. Medyo may mga ibang eskwelahan na hindi very tight ang kanilang processes, pero marami kasi ditong maraming peer review bodies, meron ditong Middle States, meron ditong State University of New York, and they will visit your school. Ano ang counterpart sa Pilipinas ng Middle State, Maria? Meron ba tayong Middle State sa Philippines?
Ano yan? Middle State?
Oo, meron ba tayong Middle State sa Philippines? Saan, sino ang nagre-review sa mga schools, sa mga universities?
CHED. It's a
CHED.
department. CHED and
CHED.
DepEd.
DepEd.
DepEd for the basic and CHED for the higher education.
So sila ang nagre-review sa sarili nila. That's what that means.
Technically,
kasi ang Middle States is a peer review body. Hindi yan, that's outside of the educational system. So, pagka wala kang Middle States approval, hindi ka makakapag-enroll ng mga estudyante. Pwede kang mag-enroll ng mga estudyante, pero mga estudyante, the first thing that they check about the school is if they have middle states approval. So kaya kaya kung hindi mahigpit ang eskwelahan sa instructional design and course approval, madadali sila ng middle states pagka middle states nagpunta at inimbestigahan yung mga ginagawa nila. And then may processes yan. There are like 14 standards that a school has to meet. And if they fail in those standards, they will not get middle states approval, and it would be very difficult for them to compete because they will not get students to enroll in their schools. And then of course now the new one, which is the emergency format, which we call virtual remote online, synchronous live. If you meet online using call conference software like what we're doing right now, technology is required. But what I really emphasize, kaya parati ko itong pinapakita, is sa virtual remote, hindi mo kailangan mag-produce ng content. Hindi ka required. I'm not sure what the Philippines will do. Pero dito sa Amerika, pwede kang magturo, hindi ka, unlike online learning, nire-require. Kasi the idea is, the rationale is, ang virtual remote is parang pareho pa rin ng face-to-face. You know, andyan ang teacher, pwede kang tanungin ng estudyante kung may mga problema sila. You're there, you're teaching. So, as opposed to distance, wala ka dyan eh. The students are only interacting with the material. Kaya ang material mo has to stand on its own. Okay? So, that is very important to understand. So, and these are some, you know, just pictures of virtual remote, all of this. Okay. So, this is supposed to be a class activity, but I guess I can just offer this as a kind of a rhetorical question, right? So, we were supposed to post it in the response in the chat board, pero maganda naman yung ating, ang ating icebreaker activity. So, I will just discuss this, right? So, is virtual learning the same as online learning? Of course not. We just showed that. I just showed that, right? Online learning, you need content. You need it to be approved. You need to have full training. 99% of the time, the school will not allow you to teach online if you're not fully trained. Face-to-face, you can teach, no content, you know. Of course, you prepare your lesson plan, but it could happen that you did not prepare your lesson plan and you still go to class and teach. And blended is basically the same. You don't really are required to prepare your content before you go into class. And this is the big question. Ito ang malaking problema. Right? Oops, ano yung aking, sorry ha, nag-stop ang aking recording. Oh well. I guess I don't have memory. But how does a teacher transition from face-to-face to virtual remote? So as you can see, face-to-face, yung teacher na andun. And then online, you are interacting with the computer. So here are the questions, challenges faced by teacher, not necessarily even during pandemic and beyond, right? So how does a teacher teach from traditional face-to-face to virtual remote? Does a teacher mimic what he does, teaches in the face-to-face to the virtual format? Pareho ba? Kung nagtuturo ka ng face-to-face, ganun din ang gagawin mo sa virtual? What strategies might a teacher use teaching in the virtual live format? What tools, pedagogy, technical, could a teacher use for the virtual format? These are a lot of the things that we're going to discuss tonight. What type of training might a teacher need to teach in the virtual live format? And you know what? One of the problems is virtual remote is so new. Meron mga best practices, napaka-konti. Ang online learning, 30 years na yan, mahigit pa. Yung balik ng online learning towards the end of in the 90s, going into the early 2000s, grabe ang transition ng online, right? Kasi from correspondence going online, when I got involved with online education, that was towards in the late 1990s and early 2000, early 2020, 2000. And I went through that transition and nakita ko how yung luma na technology went into the new technology. So, ang online learning, hinug na yan, talaga napakadami ng processes na pwede nating gamitin. Kaya ang dali-daling, it's sometimes easier to conduct training for online teaching as opposed to conducting training for virtual remote kasi wala pang ang pedagogy. Although there's a lot of technical tools, because a lot of the technical tools that's being used for online are also being used for virtual. Pero yung pedagogy, best practices, wala pa. So tayo ang gagawa. So I urge you guys, yung mga mahiling mag-research, mahiling magsulat, keep on putting all of your observations, all of your research, put them on the side, para kayo ang magiging mauuna dyan sa pag-establish ng mga materials na gagamitin ng mga tao after you to how to use this pedagogy properly. And then there's not even training. There's not even type of training that's really established. Like, as much as I'm doing this training, these are the very new type of training that's offered for how to teach virtual and remote. Wala pa talaga. Again, there is no best practices yet that are available, even from regulating bodies, that we can actually use and say, this is the proper way to do it. So tayo ang maggagawa niyan. So then I keep on saying, online learning, virtual learning, distance learning, right? Emergency remote teaching. Yan ang tunay na pangalan ng virtual remote eh. Emergency remote teaching. Kasi wala tayong choice. We were pushed because of COVID. But it's going to stay. Based on technology, based on the needs of people, it's going to stay. So don't think that pag nawala ang COVID, wala na ang virtual remote. Andiyan na yan siya. Hindi na yan siya mawawala. So we have to develop our expertise, we have to develop our proficiencies, because it's going to be there. And teaching now is global. As you can see, I'm here, I'm in New York, and I'm teaching you guys. I'm conducting this lecture webinar. So imagine yourself having that kind of a world in front of you. So you can go online to learn, and you can go online to teach. And don't limit yourself with the Philippine environment in terms of where to teach and where to learn. You'll be surprised. So I just put some cartoons just to, give you an idea of what really happens. These are cartoons that I got from like what's going on with students. So like this is a cartoon of a student saying that this is how I look when I'm doing virtual remote class. This is overload, because all they do, if you have a teacher who does not do anything else but just lecture, there is no interaction and so forth, and the teacher does not know how to use technology, all they will do is read their notes, the students will have overload. And this is what's going to happen. They will go to sleep. Can you imagine students just facing a computer like this for like an hour? So kung meron silang, imaginein mo, kung meron silang 5 subject, ito ang harap-kaharap nila. So ang hope lang natin, as much as dito sa Amerika malaking problema ito, ang hope lang natin, sana sa Pilipinas, maging ganito na rin ang environment. Right? Kahit na nga may mga problema na haharapin, the problems really that you have to face is how to improve teaching. What are you going to do to make tools available para yung inyong virtual and remote teaching is going to be as interesting and as interactive and as collaborative as a face-to-face class. So if your teacher, for example, is a lecture type of a teacher na walang activity sa face-to-face, okay lang yon kung face-to-face. Pero imaginein mo kung online, ganun din. Napakahirap talaga para sa mga estudyante. So let's take a pause and figure out how to go from a quote-unquote failed to a successful virtual learning experience. So we're moving on into like some available information that we might be able to use in understanding what this pedagogy is all about, whatever pedagogy is available online, right? As I've said earlier, there's not a real technology and a real pedagogy rather that's already proven. We're all experimenting, even myself, everyone is experimenting. We are using online concepts, online theories, and then we're adapting it to this new normal. So a new pedagogy is emerging and online learning is a key contributing factor. So kasi we're using technology, so yung online learning is a contributing factor dito sa bagong pedagogy ng virtual remote teaching. So the elements that are contributing to the development of this new pedagogy. So yung mga blended online flipped classroom. I'm not sure guys if you know what the flipped classroom is. Ang flipped classroom, ibig sabihin, ang teacher hindi nagle-lecture. Ang teacher magbibigay lang ng mga assignments and then pagbalik ng estudyante, puro activities. Ang mga estudyante ang nagbabasa ng materials. They will be given, let's say, chapter 1 to read. They will read all the lecture. And then when you meet, the teacher is not going to lecture. They will do a lot of activities, you know, like role-playing, case analysis, all of those kinds of activities. But in a flipped classroom, the teacher is not doing a lecture like what I'm doing right now. So ang estudyante ang responsible sa materials. So it's a very adapted success. I'm not sure if it's really successful. I've not really done any research. Pero I use flipped learning not for all my sessions, but for some of the sessions in my class where I can use flipped learning, flipped classroom, but not all the time. Because sometimes kailangan pa mag-lecture. So this element, collaborative approaches to the construction of knowledge, itong COI and COP, you know, itong kinoconduct ko na ito, it's mostly, I'm telling you, this is available and I hope that you're going out of your way and do research because, you know, the time is very limited. I'm doing this for 2 hours and it would be great if, I guess, what we're going to do at Kaisipan is all of these sessions that we are conducting, we are going to expand it. For example, we will have a lecture or a webinar or a session that just about community of inquiry and practice. Community of inquiry and community of practice are the concepts that's really the base or the framework of an effective discussion forum. So paano mo gagawing talagang napakaganda at napaka-effective ang mga discussion forum? Ang nagdi-dictate niyan yung COI and COP, Community of Inquiry and Community of Practice. So yan ang mga element na nagko-contribute sa development nitong new pedagogy. Ibig sabihin kasi ang virtual remote, kailangan ng maraming activity, kaya kailangan na intindihan mo yung COI at COP. Use of multimedia and educational resources. I'm very happy to note na ang Pilipinas is very much into OER. So that's really something that I'm very happy to see, to observe. I've been observing. Even Kaisipan, we talk about is OER. And I guess maybe because kasi nga OER is free, so it's really very good in the Philippines. I'm not sure if you know Khan Academy. Please check it out. A lot of materials that's free. MIT's courseware also free. You will be surprised. So now in this new pedagogy, there's a lot of student control, choice, and independence. Marami silang magagawa na hindi na nila nagagawa in a traditional face-to-face classroom, like because they have so much use of technology, they can do a lot of work on their own. And there's a lot of work that they can be independent from the teacher. Just like in flipped classroom, they can do the readings on their own. It's an anywhere, anytime, any size learning, learn on demand. I'm not sure if you have heard badges and micro-credential. This is very similar to certificates. So ngayon, ang usong-uso dito, maraming mga estudyante ngayon dito na ayaw na mag-pursue ng 4-year degree. Ang kinukuha na lang nila yung mga courses na skills-based. So kung gusto nilang matuto, for example, ng management information system, kung gusto nilang matuto ng SQL, kung any skill na gusto nilang matutunan, meron ng mga, they can take it on their own individually. They don't have to go pursue a 4-year degree, and they can earn a badge, and they can earn a micro-credential, and itong micro-credential na ito, ino-honor ng mga employers. So in the future, hopefully all of this we can expand into a workshop and a webinar so that we can get down and really, you guys see it in action. So new forms of assessment like e-portfolio and peer assessment, yung micro-credential na yan, ang mga professionals, nilalagay nila yung micro-credential na yan sa e-portfolio. So pag nag-apply sila sa trabaho, you know, usually magsasubmit tayo ng resume. Ngayon, what they're going to submit is an e-portfolio. Tapos yung mga e-portfolio na yan, may mga e-portfolio yung tinatawag na blockchain. Ano yan? Protected. Hindi mo pwedeng i-revise. May technology na nagpo-protect yan, yung tinatawag na blockchain. And then it's self-directed, non-formal or online learning like OER and MOOCs. MOOCs are massive online courses na naging very popular ito like 5 years ago, that you can take. These are not for credit courses, and you can take it. I'm sure it's very popular. It's also popular in the Philippines, and you can take these courses for free, these classes. Most of them are not for credit though. So these are the 3 emerging pedagogical trends. So accessibility, itong trend na to, opening of learning, accessibility and flexibility. Sharing of power, instructor and students share power, and then increased use of technology. So itong emerging pedagogical trends ngayon, ang ibig sabihin is kino-combine yung accessibility, sharing ng power ng instructor and students, at saka yung technology. So parating magkakasama yung tatlo na yon. And unfortunately nga, no, I hope, we are hoping and we're praying that we are going to get to this level. Hopefully, by next year, hopefully itong COVID is blessing in disguise na ang Pilipinas, irarush nila yung mga ginagawa nilang towers. Let's really just hope that that happens. Pero I guess ang nakikita ko talaga na future ng Pilipinas pagka hindi is yung mobile. I think mobile technology will just really be the trend. I don't know if they will make mobile technology bigger, more powerful, and so forth. So these are other elements of pedagogy, the design of instruction. As I've said, I'm throwing all of these because wala pang pedagogy that is in place. So on other parts of other pedagogy involved in the design of instruction, engagement, a lot of engagement, a lot of interaction, chunking of content. Ibig sabihin ng chunking of content, yung paisa-isa, maliliit na portions, as opposed to, let's say, pag nagbigay ka ng lecture, hindi mo ibibigay yung buong chapter as a lecture, i-chop mo yun. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng chunking. A lot of games, a lot of visuals, sounds, music, images, cartoons, and pictures. You may notice that I use a lot of cartoons because I couldn't use pictures, because if I have to use pictures, I will be using pictures of Americans, which of course will not relate to you guys, the audience ko. And at some point siguro maghahanap na rin ako ng mga images at mga pictures na local. Wala pa ako, hindi pa ako doon. I hope meron dang mga available na mga images and pictures na mga Philippine-based. So this is part of the pedagogy of virtual remote, a lot of engagement, a lot of interaction, chunking of content. But understand also that these are the same thing that is used, that are used in online, the full online. Kaya nga ang virtual remote is very much based on online, which is the synchronous. But the question is, how do you convert that into live? Kasi ang synchronous nga hindi live. Mas challenging ang virtual kasi live. Hindi, magpiprepare ka ng material and then i-deliver mo live as opposed to yung online, synchronous, magde-develop ka ng material, ilalagay mo material sa learning management system at yung estudyante mo will interact sa material na inilagay mo doon. Every now and then, maybe you will interact with your students live sa mga discussion forums and things like that, but you're not required to do that because the idea of an online learning is it is not live. The idea is to provide flexibility of access to teach to students so that they can actually access the course and do the activities at any time that they can do it, because talagang yun ang supposed to be advantage ng online learning. Kaya ang mga tao kumukuha ng online learning. So, hindi ka pwedeng mag-demand sa online learning ng mga live sessions kasi baka yung mga tao, mga nagtatrabaho or, they're away. And the reason why they took an online class is because they cannot attend a session live. So these are the developments that triggered this new pedagogy. So the new demand for a knowledge-based society, there's new student expectations, new technologies, and fast-changing world of work. Iba na ang labanan. So here are some things that I got from the internet. Hopefully it's going to be helpful. So meron na rin ako mga nakita na konting mga references. This is a beginner's toolkit for teaching remotely. So, use it as you can, take it as you can. Again, I cannot promise that these are all best practices. As I keep on mentioning earlier, there is not really a best practice yet that's already been established, maybe in a year or so. So a beginner's toolkit includes consistent communication, support your learners. You have to have virtual office hours, meaning mag-establish ka ng a certain time na yung mga estudyante mo, you can talk to them. You have to have content delivery and retrieval. You choose a method to send and receive student work that can work on multiple platforms. So in other words, you don't necessarily have to use a learning management system is what it's saying. And then the power of reflection, you encourage your students to take time and reflect on their goals for the day and what they have learned. So what this basically means is if you're going to teach virtual remote, these would be some of the things that you would have to equip yourself. It's like a beginner's toolkit. So just remember that if you're teaching online, you have to provide consistent communication, you have to support your learners, you have to have virtual office hours, and so on and so forth. That's just basically what it means. And when I have some references like this, I usually put, if it's available, I just cut and paste it. If not, I actually put it at the bottom. So on your own, pwede niyong puntahan ng page and then you can really learn it on your own, okay? So here is another recommendation. 4 C's of success in the online virtual remote classroom. That was mentioned before, right? Dun sa tool, itong communication. And this is done by Beth Dumbad, 720. If you search that name. It says that in virtual remote, you have to have a commitment. Hindi pwedeng wala kang commitment. You have to work with the community. And you have to collaborate. Lahat yan, papasok yan, hopefully, pag na-establish na yung mga best practices. Yung communication, constant communication, yun ang parating included. And then, of course, itong collaborate tsaka interaction. Parati yan. Parati. Interaction. So how would teachers and students succeed in a virtual remote environment? So virtual remote requires some competency for both teacher and students. Teachers need the appropriate pedagogy for virtual remote teaching and learning. Some of them we have discussed. Teachers and students need proper technology and connectivity devices to conduct virtual remote teaching. Yan ang malaking problema natin sa Pilipinas kung wala tayong technology and connectivity. But again, don't feel discouraged. Just keep on learning so that when something happens, you never know, you're there. You have competency. Teachers need models of best practices to help them design their own virtual remote classes. So ngayon, kung wala pang best practices, what you're going to do is basically what I'm doing. You just keep on researching. You just keep on compiling them. And then eventually either you write the best practice or someone else will write the best practice, or you yourself will be able to establish the best practice because of constant use, because of, you know, when you keep on using it and you have experience, you will know the right way and wrong way to do it. And hopefully you guys will be the ones to establish best practices. That would be nice. These are 6 research-backed strategies for remote teaching. Ito yung unang nakita ko na research-backed strategies for remote teaching. You will be surprised what this says. And I really don't know how this works in the Philippines. Involve parents, strengthen academic expectations. I can understand this, pero I'm wondering if your parents are working, how can you involve parents? And even here in the United States, both parents are working. But the research-backed strategies for remote teaching says the parents have to be involved. Especially itong COVID na to, wala naman choice ng parents. Kailangan talaga silang involved. Kaya nga yung mga parents dito, gustong-gusto talaga nilang bumalik ang mga estudyante face-to-face. I guess hirap na sila, you know, nag-tutor sa mga anak nila, silang nag-help mag-organize ng mga trabaho ng mga anak nila. But the more involved the parents are, the better. So highlight student achievement to parents. So this is a strategy for remote teaching. So guys, kung magtuturo kayo ng remote teaching, always remember, highlight your student achievement to parents. And honestly, even in face-to-face, this is important. Have parents sign off on daily agendas. Para yung mga estudyante mo na hindi nagpapakita, alam ng parents pag hindi sila dumadating. It's not only na nag-check ng attendance, but it's important na yung mga parents alam na hindi dumadating mga anak nila. Although, of course, I'm telling you, in real life, sometimes parents who are working, this really does not work. You know, they have no choice. And if students don't show up, students don't show up. Arrange weekly virtual chats with parents. So this is on the part of parents. Assign group work, especially for middle high school or in the Philippines, elementary and high school. Design projects that require each group member's unique contribution. Again, even in face-to-face, importante ito, pero online, mas importante pa ito. Kasi, you know, wala sila sa classroom. Hindi mo nakikita yung ginagawa nila, especially pag natatakpan yung mukha nila, pag binigyan mo sila ng project, hindi mo alam kung anong ginagawa nila. So, pag binigyan mo sila ng project, make sure na yung assessment mo at saka yung mga procedures mo, lahat ng members ng project, merong responsibility. Hindi yung group work, isa lang ang magsasubmit. Usually, ang group work, ako pag nagbigay ako ng group work ng face-to-face, isa lang ang sinasubmit ng buong grupo. According to this research-backed strategies in remote teaching, you need to make sure that each of the member of a group has a unique contribution. Use collaborative digital spaces like Google Slides, Google Docs, PowerPoint, and provide clear instructions as to what collaboration should look like. Very, very clear steps. So teaching techniques in the virtual classroom, these are some suggestions. Audiovisuals are extensively used. Of course, interaction is key. Internet itself is a huge repository of knowledge. my God, the internet just really opened up. Effective role playing is encouraged and plenty of feedback, every step of the way. Tips for preparing in the virtual classroom. Research your audience. Katulad ng ginagawa namin ni Tony parate. Parati nating tinitingnan sino ang mga estudyante, mga audience mo, ano ang mga background nila, ano ang technology nila, and so on and so forth. Change the activities once in a while. Trigger their emotions. Katulad itong way of me teaching, hindi lang ako nagbabasa ng lecture. I involve you and I usually try to reach your emotions as much as I could. Katulad lang nung ating icebreaker activities. That's really one way of triggering the emotion. You know, when you're teaching, whether it's face-to-face or online, you have to have some hook. Yung hinuhook mo yung attention ng estudyante mo. Kasi pagka na-trigger mo yon, hindi nila makakalimutan yung part na yon, as opposed to, you know, you could be a very good math teacher, you could be a very good social studies teacher, but you're very good in content, right? You memorize your content, you know your content inside out. Pero pag pinakikinggan ka ng mga estudyante mo, ang naririnig nila sa'yo is like parang even na nagbabasa ka ng content. Hindi tumatalab sa kanila, hindi na titrigger yung emotion nila. So yung style mo, you really have to come up, you know, like, in the United States, I hardly speak Tagalog. And now I'm really forcing myself to really, kasi ang hirap ng Taglish, ang hirap din ng diretsong Tagalog. And honestly, mas confident pa ako magturo ng English kaysa sa Tagalog kasi walang mga counterpart na words yung mga itinuturo mo sa Tagalog, kaya ang hirap. Ang hirap talaga. Pero I need to reach my audience, so hindi po pwedeng puro English. So I try my best. So hopefully it works with you guys. And then you have to fix the time of each activity. You know, at some point, ang ganda-ganda ng ating icebreaker activities, pero we cannot put all the time there. And being that I will read it later, of course, we need to stop it at some point. And then you have to prepare all your materials before you start. It's 9:45. 5 ways to make your online classroom. Okay, integrate real-time interaction. See, what would be the common thread that I'm talking about in all of what I'm here, in all of my presentation? Integrate real-time interaction. A lot of interaction, a lot of collaboration, a lot of discussion. So, ako ngayon sa inyo, I don't really have much luxury of technology, and also because of the vastness of the material that I'm trying to cover for you guys, there's not enough interaction that I'm doing because I'm taking advantage of the time to give you as much material as I could. And my hope is that we are going to break up all of these that I've been doing into smaller webinar and smaller sessions so that we can really go deeper in terms of interactive integration and collaborative exercise. That's the hope, right?
Right.
So, Maria, do you want to say something? No?
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Okay. So best practices, here are some best practices again. Technology is the main platform. Different strategies are needed to engage virtual learners. Online facilitator needs to simultaneously present, engage learners, and use the technology platform. That's what I'm doing, right? Use audiovisuals. This is the second or third time that audiovisual is coming back. Design interactive. There you go again, interactive. Provide guided practice. Pagka nagturo ka ng virtual or anytime na magtuturo ka online, you have to, if you have some steps, the steps have to be very clear. Kung magbibigay ka ng steps, if you are going to do something, make sure that the steps are finished and those steps should rest somewhere. Either pwede nilang i-print or pwede nilang i-save sa hard drive. But the worst part is, especially if you're going to do interactive activities or collaborative exercises, hindi mo yan pwedeng gawing off the cuff. Yung tinatawag na off the cuff, yung kakapain mo lang or iwiwido mo, kung sa Pilipinas, iwiwido mo lang. Magkakagulo mga estudyante mo. Kailangan very, very specific ang mga steps mo. Pagka meron kang pinagawa sa mga estudyante mo, you have to prepare the specific steps that you want them to do. Step 1, go here. Step 2, this is what you do. Step 3, this is what you do, and so on and so forth. You cannot leave it to chance, okay? I wish, again, in the future, hopefully we're going to have that kind of an exercise. Okay, a lot of these we already discussed. Now, these are free fun icebreaker activities that I found online. I was so happy when I found this. So guys, on your own, please visit this. You can use this in your own teaching. I put the link at the bottom here. Lahat-lahat ito. I think, ano ba ang ginamit ko dito? 3 words, icebreaker, storytelling. I used one of these for our this is what I used. Hope and fears na icebreaker. So, it's very important na magkaroon ka ng icebreaker every time you do a virtual remote teaching because malaking bagay kasi nagkakaroon na kayo ng relationship ng facilitator. Kasi nga, again, ang teacher, ang face-to-face, pag nasa classroom ka, andyan ang teacher mo. So, meron ng built-in relationship. Sa virtual, malayo ang feeling mo, malayo ang teacher mo, hindi mo sila nakikita. So pag nag-icebreaker activity ka, nag-i-establish ka na ng some connection, nabi-break yung barrier, right? So guys, take advantage of these icebreaker activities here. I was so happy to find this. And then here are some other interactive tasks to keep students engaged, yung mga discussion forum, games, role-playing, mga surveys you can do in Zoom or you can do in Google Docs. And then peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer would be your classmate is grading your work as opposed to your teacher grading your work. This is great for the teacher because unang-una, nababawasan ng konti yung trabaho mo, hindi ikaw ang nag-evaluate ng trabaho ng estudyante. By the time na i-evaluate mo yung estudyante mo, meron ka ng input kasi meron ng ginawa yung mga estudyante. So that's very helpful. There are also top collaboration tools that I'm sharing with you for virtual remote. Ito naman collaboration tools. Yung isa, icebreaker. So ito, Teamwork Project, Basecamp, ito, Google Docs, Slack, Trello. Some of you might be using this already. I put the link here so you can go visit those. So in your teaching, you can use them. Now, these are really rich technology. So software application tools for virtual online learning. This is what we do. Kasi nga, very sophisticated kami na dito. Because we have so much access to technology. Ito, tinitrain namin ng mga teacher namin dito. Every teacher who teaches virtual remote, they know how to use VoiceThread. And VoiceThread is not free. VoiceThread allows you to place collections of media like images, videos, documents, and presentations at the center of a conversation. These conversations are not live. They take place whenever and wherever it's convenient for people to participate. A VoiceThread allows people to have conversations and to make comments using any mix of text, a microphone, a webcam, or why is it keeps on jumping? Or uploading an audio file. So this is the tools available in VoiceThread. Yan, no? Pwede kang mag-type, pwede kang tumawag sa telepono, i-add mo yung content mo. If you have a microphone, you can do that. You can do videos. And these are, I think these are downloading it in your file. So this is how it looks. This is how a VoiceThread looks like. Pero hindi ito live. Hindi ito live. This is an online learning tool which can also be used for virtual. So here is a student who is interacting with her classmates. So ayan siya, no? Ginagamit niya ang VoiceThread. Ito yung mga classmates niya. So yung mga classmates niya, nag-post na yan. So, ang gagawin niya, kita mo yan, may comment. Pwede siyang, ipipress niya bawat isa na yan. So, kung ano man ang pinost ng mga classmate niya, magre-respond siya. Parang chatboard rin. Pero instead na nagre-respond ka lang at nagta-type lang kayo, nakikita mo yung mga classmate mo. And then you do this on your own time, hindi ito live. This is a very powerful tool, very popular in the United States. So, ito yung voice-fed engagement online. Ito, if this is live, this would have been great. So, this is like when students are interacting with an art gallery. And this is when they're like someone did a solar system model and then they are interacting. See how powerful if you're actually doing that? Ang training nito, so for example, ang voice thread training namin, 2 hours yan just for voice thread training. And we'll see. Let's hope. Let's always hope for the best. You never know. Right, Maria?
Right.
You can read. And here is an example of voice thread interaction. So look, someone put a page of share your thoughts about the comparison between Caravaggio. This is like maybe art, something about the arts, or painting, and someone put it there, maybe their teacher, and all of these are the students around, and they're interacting with that material. That's also an example. Another way of establishing collaboration and online presence is screencast-o-matic. Similar din ito ng konti sa voice thread, tsaka ito libre. If you search it, merong free na pwede mo siyang gamitin. Very limited, but you can use it for free. Screencast-o-matic is an online recording platform which calls for internet access if you want to work. Without internet, unfortunately, you will not be able to record, which would be inconvenient. So, yung screencast-o-matic, ika-capture mo yung screen, and then you can respond. Ito, screencast-o-matic ito. So, if you can imagine, parang voice thread, hindi ba? So, ang teacher mo, for example, naglagay ng painting dyan. So, yung mga estudyante, ayan, nag-react sila, nilagyan nila ng circle. Itong isa, where's my wife? Itong isa, may mga pinopoint. Tapos, ito yung mga tools. And then they can record their reaction and they can type their reaction. And these are the things they can do. They can highlight a graphic image, they can do drawings, shapes, and they can text to emphasize a lecture point. So can you imagine if we can do this when we're teaching? You know, like we can dream. At least you know that this works. And maybe, siguro, I'm imagining kung very limited ang connectivity, siguro, who knows, maybe kung napakarami ng gumagamit, maybe once a week, magkakaroon kayo ng connectivity. So meron kayong alam na gagawin. I'm hoping, my hopes are not dead. I'm thinking because of what's going on in the Philippines. And I think there's a lot of people who wants to do business in the Philippines as well. So hopefully it's gonna happen. And I'm thinking maybe COVID is a blessing in disguise because all of these things are happening because it needs to happen. Kung walang COVID, hindi talaga hindi. Can you imagine kung isang taon pa tayong may COVID? Kailangan talaga nilang gawin na itong technology na ito. Anong mangyayari? Hindi tayo mabubuhay sa correspondence. And this is Kahoot. Kahoot is very easy. Kahoot is free. It's game-based. So kita mo yan, punta ka sa Kahoot, pwede kang gumawa. Ito, teacher ang gumawa nito. Parang survey. Parang katulad ng ginagawa ni Tony. Gagawa ka ng question, tapos gagawa ka ng answer. Parang gumawa ka ng multiple choice question. Tapos yung sa multiple question, yung back end dito, ilalagay mo yung correct answer. Tapos yung mga estudyante mo, so i-answer ito. And then you can even have a test kung sino ang makasagot agad. This is very, very popular here sa high school. Even colleges, but mostly high school. This is another screen of a Kahoot game-based learning. And this is free. You guys can go online and find and start using this. You can use this for every class. I use this sometimes sa first day of class ko. Kung binasa nila yung course syllabus ko, gumagawa ako ng Kahoot game sa aking course syllabus. Make sure if they read my course syllabus. And I just put here what is online learning. I kind of like discussed that already. Na kailangan may content, teacher has to be trained, and so on and so forth. If you want to read that material, it's in EduPause. So, okay, I am getting to the end, and here, this is supposed to be a final activity, but I'm not sure if we can still do this. So, this is our final activity. If this is an ideal situation, I would be asking this. If virtual teaching is going to be the new normal, how do we get virtual teaching to get to the level of online learning? So, ideally, if we have time, I will ask you to choose one topic. Remember what we did this last nating session? I asked you, what is your favorite topic and what is your challenge? That is always my end type of assessment. I'm assessing what my students have learned because, of course, chances are yung favorite topic nila is something that they remember. So that will tell me that that's what they learned. And if they're saying that this is a challenge, it will tell me that this is something that they had a hard time. So in a way, that is my feedback mechanism. That's been one of the techniques that that's one of my original things that I always do when I want to assess how my students did. Okay? Kung anong ginawa, kung anong natutunan nila. So it's a very wide, broad-based just to find out what's going on. Of course, you can go deeper and ask more questions. But again, because you are in a virtual environment, you have very limited time. You know, when your students learned something, if they can talk about something, you have achieved something. Just remember that. You don't expect that your students will remember everything that you've taught them. But if they can remember something and they can talk about it, and if you know Bloom's taxonomy, if they can remember, they can recall, they can apply, they can synthesize, and they can create new things, even for one topic, you have done your job. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock. I'm this is a village. It takes a village. We are all responsible. I'm going back to the virtual chat, and maybe Maria.
Yes.
Okay, so let's.
What do you want me to do?
I'm on the chat, and thank you so much. If you want to say something, this is the time to type it. And I'm going to type my, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Don't leave yet. You still have our Zoom photo taking.
Oh, my goodness. Sorry. So give them a little chance to type something if they want to type something.
Yeah, sure.
3 minutes. Everyone, guys, thank you. If you have last word, thank you. But Tony will take over because Tony would like to take our class picture. Tony,
yes.
So I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, my screen is paused anyway. So, okay. Oh, did you stop my sharing?
No.
There you
go.
go.
You want me to? Okay.
There you go. Thank you, everyone. I hope I'm able to share something with you, even if it's, 2 hours. I'm trying to do my best. And my hope is I have the energy and I have the time to go back and chop these webinars, these things that I've done, and really focus on one topic at a time. We have time. We have, we'll see.
That's right. So
Maria
this week we basically were doing a series of introductions. Introduction to online, introduction to virtual, introduction to the MoodLearn LMS, introduction to digital literacy, digital competencies. And next week we will we will have a list of seminars and workshops that are hands-on and we dive deeper into some of these topics.
More focus.
Yeah, more. So I just quickly related to the connectivity issue, and one of the things that Kaisipan is trying to do, because we know connectivity is an issue. So if we say, oh, we're doing training on digital, virtual, remote, people will say, but wala po kaming connectivity. So how are we going to do what we need to do? So we started looking at what we call last kilometer solutions. And one of them is the, and maybe you can help us name this box. We call it the Kaisipan box. And actually I put the link there. You can take a look at the Kaisipan box, https://dokyo.moodlearning.com, Dokyo PHP Kaisipan box. It's in the chat room. You can take a look. I even bought the components and I will put together the box. So it's not just a box. It's a box that's like a portable Wi-Fi. So it can deliver to devices, phones and laptops and tablets where there is no connectivity. And if there's no electricity, then you use the solar battery. But in addition, we preload the box with open educational resource materials. We're busy curating those materials, but I know some of you are like really, really ready to make use of some of these materials. So if you email Tony, the grade school, your course, the courses that you're looking for, the topics, we can give you the links right away. You don't have to wait until we finish the curation part. Anyway, so the box will have curated material. And in addition, the box will also have a simple LMS. So that's one solution we're looking at. Of course, that solution is going to mean some funds. Actually, when we talked to some of the high-level government people, they said, well, Maria, stop worrying about the connectivity. It will get there. I go, I've been hearing that story for the past 15 years.
Pero Maria, itong box na to, napakaganda talaga nito pagka itong pumwede.
Right, yeah, it's you know, it's one solution. Then there's another one that we call, it's the NetLogic box. And that box, you attach it to a TV.
Sana pakita, hindi pwede makita.
And the TV becomes like an intranet. Wala pa akong picture nung intranet, but meron ng link nung sa, ito yung sa Kaisipan box, the one box. There's a third solution that we're looking at for kindergarten, K to 2, pwedeng hanggang siguro third grade and fourth grade.
One tab.
Actually, they tested it in Africa, and they're testing it in Alaska for the U.S. schools in Alaska. So it's called One Tab, and it's you don't need connectivity. All the material that's needed for reading, writing, and arithmetic is in that One Tab. It's I don't know if it's battery operated, but it's also solar powered.
It operates like a cell phone.
So we're checking those out. And so for the schools that are talagang hirap na hirap, what we're trying to do is to also find sponsors and say, okay, you know, you can adopt this school and you can buy them several boxes so that they can proceed with at least this year, you know, like it's a temporary solution until the internet gets to that particular school.
Suri said we can find sponsors to donate those those boxes to school.
Yeah, we already have people lined up, but we need the names of the schools. We need to justify that that school does not really have connectivity. And then Tony's friend from NextLogic also, ano na yung solution ni Momo, Tony?
Actually, Momo is partnering with cable operators. So, because his model actually is a community network. So if everyone in the community has its own like cable provider, how will I explain it? Hindi masyado technical. Local transport or communications within that fiber loop will be free. Kasi ngayon, if you use the internet, we are being charged, di ba? Like, if it is in a mobile phone, we are being charged by bits and bytes. Use a project ni Momo, it's using fiber optic. So it's basically fast. Its speed is dependent on your machine, on the capability of your machine. And anything that is discussed within that fiber loop, within that community, for example, all schools in the division, that's free. It's going to be free. And what's more, it's more secure. Hindi siya lalabas ng internet. So yun yung tinatawag sa namin na local area network or local transport. And good thing with that box is it has a pre-installed videos of all educational resources. Your access to .edu, .gov, and .org is also free. So kaisipan.org is free, formasuma.org will be free. So you will not be charged on that. Kaya and they are...
Dapat pala sabihin ko rin yun, yung Formasuma, I have a place in Formasuma where you can use the LMS for free and you can build your content there, and there is also available instructional videos there. Inaayos pa namin, hindi pa tapos yung page. So hopefully in less than 2 weeks.
Yung kaisipan kasi parang we're already flying the plane, pero inaayos pa yung gulong at saka yung wings.
Pero gusto na kasi namin kasi kailangan na eh.
Na fast track lahat yung mga...
Dahil sa COVID, na fast track lahat.
Basta
anyway,
baka
so
fly.
we're really trying to do as much as we can to be helpful with the DepEd solutions. We talk to DepEd, we talk to DICT. But mas maganda kasi yung kung meron kami talagang pangalan ng school, we say, this particular school that we're working with, talagang wala silang connection. Kasi then, then wala silang, hindi sila makakalusot na sasabihin nila, oh, we have Wi-Fi for all, that's a program, we have connectivity in that barangay, whatever. So dapat meron kaming ebidensya. And you can help there. So if you really want, and if you're really ready, and talagang wala kayong connection, then let us know so we can put you in the priority list. And then we can also kick it up to the decision makers and say...
Suri, daming ino-offer ni Suri na help. If you can develop a poster on the product, I can organize fundraising for it. Oh my God.
Yes, Suri!
Suri!
So many people are really just waiting for opportunities to help. It's a need right now. And if you can just develop the materials for us to send out. My own school, my high school, we're always looking for opportunities to donate. So if you can develop the product and come up with an informational material on it, I can just send it out and you'll get the funding that you need for specific schools.
Perfect. That's we are isipan. We think together and we act together. Diba? Suri nandiyan na yung pangalan mo sa akin.
Magkukuha ng pictures, Tony, baka makalimutan.
Oo nga, hinahantay ko lang mag-open pa yung iba.
Or like
open
things
na
that
kayo,
you can
guys.
share with kaisipan and with each other, let us know. We're always looking for people who can do posters right away or flyers. Well, a couple of things also. We do have the Kaisipan Facebook. So all events will, if you are interested in any of the events, we will post it there in the events.
Like,
events
you have to follow.
Facebook. Subscribe kayo. And then there's also kaisipan.org website. And that's where I park everything that I read about in terms of approaches and so on. I put it in that website. We have a YouTube channel.
Sorry.
So we're trying to what we do is kasi masyadong malaki yung mga PowerPoints, we convert it to MP4 and put it in the YouTube channel. So actually yung day one ni Lilia nandun na sa YouTube channel.
I-revise ko yung first page ko para mailagay ko yung kaisipan na na Facebook page.
Okay.
Para pag-publish makikita nila.
Okay. Picture taking na tayo. Kodak moment.
Okay.
Nag-picture taking na ako.
Ready,
Yes,
set,
okay.
go.
Ito, wait.
Okay. Teka, may
Listen to
nagwi-wait pa.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Kasi-
set, go. First page, and I'm moving to second page. 1, 2, 3, go.
Bakit wala ako sa second page?
Nasa first page ka.
Yeah, I want to take a picture of the second page. Wait.
Wait, okay.
Alina, Anne, Francia, Biking.
Tapos may mga friend na ako from you guys. So please find me in Facebook. My Facebook name, I'm gonna type here.
Ilagay ko na sa chat.
Oh, ganon, Juele.
Yeah.
Kasi pinopost ko rin ito. So maganda na ilalike ninyo para pag kailangan natin mga sponsor, makikita nila na maraming following.
Nilagay ko na sa chat yung Facebook address mo.
Thank you very much. Nilagay ko din.
Okay, any more questions and suggestions for like what topics you want to learn more about and so on. So we try to be learner-centered.
Last Monday, di ba? Marami tayong topics doon.
That's right, yeah.
Mostly
Okay,
online.
thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Lilia.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Until we meet again, marami pa tayong webinars.
Yeah.
Marami pa tayong pag-uusapan.
Si Maria
Yeah.
nag-organize lahat nito. Ako sumusunod lang.
Mahirap hulihin ang schedule ni Ma'am
Oh,
Lilia.
yeah. Trying my best. Pag sinabi ko, okay, Maria, anong gagawin ko? Okay, I'll give you this weekend for that. And then I focus on that one. Pag nakawala yung week na yun, wala na. Mag-interview another
Iba na.
1 or 2 weeks. Okay, guys. Bye. Thank you. Thank you
Bye.
very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Lilia.
you.
Nice to see all of
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
I took
Bye.
all your pictures. Good night. Bye-bye. Good morning. Good morning.